can you remember that time that we were in school and then they'll tell you like, okay, I don't know if it was everybody, but my secondary school, what they told me was sex is a pot of soup that has like assorted inside it, and that when you start taking out of it, you wouldn't want to stop. I am not going to lie. Sex indeed is a pot of soup with assorted. Now, first of all, disclaimer, I must mention that this program or this episode is 18 plus. If you're going to be sensitive to any sex term, or you don't want to have any form of sexual words in your ears, I'd advise that you don't listen to this, because I'm not going to censor any term. I'm not going to censor anything. I'm going to say it as it is. And yeah, if you're open to sex and you want to, you're like, Shade, I've been hearing people say things like sex is underrated. That is what we're going to be focusing on today's episode. So come with me. I have a few years. I have a few years experience. So let's dive in. I'm not going to be too deep into today's episode on sex, but I'm just going to touch a few points about this whole underrated bands that is surrounding sex. And let's go in. Now, one in a million times, people tend to say, or people tend to explain or point out how underrated sex is. And again, I'm just going to drop my $1 opinion. You can decide to buy this, or you can decide not to buy this. But in my own opinion, sex is not underrated. As much as you guys wanted to hear, yes, it's underrated, is this, is that, sex is not underrated. And I'm going to just drop this really tiny something. It's amazing. Sex is amazing. It's beautiful, because I see sex as the interlocking of one person and another person. It's like you're getting to know your body. I'm not here to tell you when to have sex. I'm not here to tell you what the appropriate age is. That one is not in my concern business. It's not in my dictionary of concern. Okay, today we're just going to tackle the tackleable things that I feel like you all should know about. You all should really get into. So before I get real deep into this, I'll let you guys know that I am in no way a sex expert. This, like I told you guys earlier, I've had a few years of experience, and oh my days, I hope my mommy and daddy, they don't listen to this. I hope my uncles and aunties don't listen to this, because I've forgotten that normally song. Yes, so I'm not an expert in any way. These are things I have noticed. These are things I have come to understand. And I'm the kind of person that I never ever shy away from sex questions. I like to answer them. I'm the kind of person that when I have the opportunity to have conversations with people about sex, I always dive into it. So yes, I'll be giving you reasons as to why a whole lot of people keep on saying sex is underrated. And the first reason is vibes. Everything we're doing right now in this life, most of it is on vibes, and it's not right. A lot of people that jumped into sex jumped into it based on vibes. They felt like Amaka, Sade, Anita, Bimbo, Chidera, Belumi were having sex already, so they felt like it's not a big deal, right? My mates are doing it, let me do it. Everybody was just jumping into it at a point in time. Growing up for me, not growing up for me, but like my secondary school-ish days, I kind of had friends that were sexually exposed. So for me, at first, sex was it was vibes. You get? So if you're always jumping into sex based on vibes, yes, you'll be one of those pardon my term. You'll be one of those you'll be part of the percentile that says sex is underrated. So if you're jumping into it, if there's peer pressure on it, you have really, really low chances of enjoying it and seeing how beautiful sex in itself is. Now, the second reason why people feel like it's underrated is because everyone and anyone has access to it. See, let me tell you guys this. If you are watching porn a whole lot, did you hear me? You won't enjoy it though. Like forget what they used to tell you. Just forget it. Listen to Auntie Sade, the one that's not an expert though. But really, guys, everyone and anyone has access to it, in the sense of people feel like because we are in a modernized generation, because we are in an educated generation, a technological, oh my days, English but like, because we're in an exposed generation, everyone and anyone should be able to have access to it, and this is a total lie. All right, remember that in the beginning I said sex should be pleasurable, should be enjoyed, it's amazing and everything, and it's not everyone and anyone that should be able to have access to this. And I think this is the mistake that most of us, oh my days, why am I saying most of us like we're old? But this is the reason that most people tend to think and see it as an underrated act, because anyone had access, they had it with anybody. Do you get? There was no form of emotional attraction, there was no form of emotional build-up. You know what, I'm just going to give you guys this really quick advice, and I feel like if you're going to have sex with somebody, maybe somebody you have an emotional build-up with. Do you get? I'm not saying go and have sex with all your friends. That's not what I'm saying. You know, before you guys say, Shade gave you a slot 2.0, that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that I'm not trying to say that. I am saying that before you dive into this, if it's with somebody that you want to have this with, then it might be somebody that you have a certain kind of emotional attraction to. Now, if you're doing this based on show business, as in you're just doing it for the money, that's fine with you too. I mean, that's what you want to do, is to concern me like that. Do you get? But you can't do that then and also come out to say sex is underrated. All right, that's what I'm trying to say. People that you have an emotional kind of build up with are people that should have that kind of access to your body, because your body during sex, there's a certain kind of communication that the body does. The guy's body is trying to ensure that the girl is pleasured, and the girl is trying to ensure that the guy is pleasured. Do you get? So that's the kind of communication you're doing. Now, if it's with somebody you don't like, you might find yourself not even trying to pleasure the person, and your body rejecting any form of pleasure the guy is trying to give you or the girl is trying to give you. And at that point, you'll feel like, oh my, the sex was bad and it's underrated. No, sweeties. I told you guys, I have years of experience, so better listen to me. Now, the third reason why a lot of people will say that sex is underrated is lack of communication. And this comes from fake moanings. You guys are not even having conversations after sex. There's no form of, what's that thing called? There's no form of, I've forgotten what it's called. There's no form of honesty, yeah? Now, for you to advance, for you to enjoy your sex, yeah, you have to communicate with your partner. You guys have to know what you like, what you don't like. You have to know what that G-spot is and what that G-spot is not. You have to stop that whole fake money thing. When you're done having sex with your partner, you should be able to say, babe, this is what I like, this is what I didn't like. Or even during the whole process, you could be like, oh, why not do it this way? And things can escalate and be hot and be sexy. All right, once you stop that whole communication process, in the sense that, of course, this has happened to a lot of persons. We're trying to just make the time fast, and we don't even want to have that time to talk about, oh, what did you like, what did you not like. I mean, I feel like as after sex, you must have that conversation. I mean, you keep on having that conversation to the point when the sex gets really good. Whether you're married, whether you're not married, you need to have it, because sex, oh, do it's sweet. I'm sorry, I can't believe I just said that. But yes, you need to communicate. All right, if you're not feeling something, stop. Look for how to make you look for ways that you guys can feel it. Look for ways that it can be initiated and go on with it. Now, the final reason that most people would tend to say that sex is underrated is they constantly, I've really spoken about this one already, but they constantly, oh, my dog just woke up. They constantly feed their minds on pornography. Honestly, lately I've been watching videos, interviews of people that were in the porn industry, and most of them, I heard things like, oh, they give them drugs to last longer, some of the whole things they do is fake, some this, some that, really, you want to kill yourself on top of another man, on top of another woman? Why you gonna do like that? Why you gonna take that thing from you? I really feel funny sometimes, but most times I feel like I'm not funny. And have you noticed I haven't even been laughing at my jokes lately? That's weird. But yeah, basically, so you need to take your eyes, your mind away from porn. I think there was a time, I've forgotten when, I think it was when I was younger, and I heard somebody say that as a married couple, married couple, if you want to spice up your sex life, what's that thing called again? Watch porn. And I'm like, no. Mba. Like, no, don't do that. Don't advise people to watch porn to spice up their sex life. And this is why I think you should not. Because porn stays in the mind. Does it stay in the mind? Well, it's stuck in your mind. It has stuck inside the mind. Do you get it? It's just stuck there, and yeah, basically, you get it's stuck there. And I feel like if you're trying to like be with your partner, you tend to imagine that porn. Now, what this means two things. If your partner is not matching up to the expectation of the porn you watched, voila, good day. And there could be another voila when you're imagining the person in the porn to be your partner. Double voila for the body. Do you get? So these are things that you need to look out for before, if you think or if you feel like your sex life is on the low. Okay, that one was funny. That one was so funny. I laughed. Not hard though, but I laughed. Yeah. So, do you get? Those are things you really need to look out for. Remember that when I started this, I told you guys that I am in no way a sex expert. These are things I've noticed over time. Things I have had, like these are the conversations I've had with people that have also had sex. And these are the conclusions I have drawn every single time I have conversations with them. So we're just going to run over it. And the first one we said is, people, don't jump into it. Okay, if you've not had sex, fine. Calm your nerves down. It has to be something you do when you are fully ready. When you understand what you are getting into. You're getting into your body and someone else's body communicating. Alright? You're getting into somebody having full access to your body. You get my point? So don't jump into sex based on vibes. Amaka is doing it, I should do it. It don't make sense. When everyone and anyone has access to it, that's all wrong. Don't let anybody just have access to your body. Because when you bring in a whole lot of, if you're a girl, when you bring in a whole lot of dicks to your vagina, or the other way around, or if you're doing the whole same sex, when you do it that way and it's a whole lot, you don't tend to understand your body again. You get? Because it's like people are just bringing in new styles, new innovations. I know somebody will say, keep on doing until you find the one you like. My dear, if you keep on doing until you find the one you like, listen to me, you would never find the one you like. Because when you think you found the one you like, there will be something you want to compare it with, or some ideas that will drop into your head, or some very terrible sex that will come in that will just make every other thing feel very terrible. So you do not want that in your life, definitely. Another thing I mentioned was lack of communication. Talk after sex. Alright? I don't know about you guys, But as most times with the sex, I tend to be very hungry, and when I'm very hungry, I tend to really talk. Do you get? So yeah, so talk after sex, know what worked for you and what did not work for you. And the last thing I talked about was constantly focusing your head on pornography. Drop it, cut it, stop it. Communication is key. You cannot communicate using pornography, all right? Yes, thank you very much, guys. And we have come to the end of today's episode. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you've not had sex and you're planning to, I hope this video has given this this episode has given you a new perspective to sex. If you've been having sex, if you are a jagaban in the sex world, I hope that this episode has also given you a new light as to what you want, how you want it, and all that. I hope you really did enjoy today's episode. I'm wishing you all the best things in life. Love, peace, and prosperity. And I do pray that the Lord God grants us all longevity. Thank you very much for listening to today's episode. Now, please remember that you can always drop your feedback and your comments on our Instagram at the 2016 podcast, or on our Twitter at the 2016 podcast one. You can also send us an email. That's the 2016 podcast at gmail.com. Do not forget to like, to share, to subscribe, to comment, to share again, to drop your feedback. Now, if you also want to donate to the 2016 podcast financially, go to our Instagram page, and in our bio, you're going to see our link tree. I wanted to say link tree link. Does that make sense? We're going to see our link tree. Click on it and scroll to the last part where you see our financial section. You can always donate to us using our Yushrikhan link or our Patreon link. Now remember that every donation counts in the 2016 podcast, and this is to ensure that we bring out better quality and better products for you all. Now from my end is love, peace, and prosperity, and I do pray that the Lord God grants us all longevity. I love you guys.